What's up, everyone? Welcome back to a whole new week. It is Monday. Here in the U.S., it's a holiday, so I hope everyone out there who is in the U.S. is enjoying your holiday weekend, your third day of your holiday weekend. Those of you not in the U.S., I hope you're super excited, getting back to work, getting back to Monday, getting back to doing your thing. This week, we're going to be talking about appreciating the little things. We're going to talk about appreciation in a real cool, kind of deep way to make a difference in your life. I think appreciating the little things is what makes life worth living. I'm going to talk about why it's important and how to implement this very important but very small thing in your life to make a huge, massive difference. So welcome back to the Aha Moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie, and let's get into it. You know, life moves really, really fast, and I think we don't take the time to understand how important today is, this moment is, and really live in the moment and kind of slow down a bit. So let me give you an example. And I'm guilty of this too. I spent a lot of years just grinding, working in my therapy practice, not really focusing on me. I worked for years, literally years, seeing 40 clients a week in my therapy practice. And I'll never forget, one day I looked up and LeBron James, if you had asked me how long has LeBron James been in the NBA, I would have said, I don't know, 4 or 5 years maybe. And I saw an interview with him and he had this full beard and there was little gray hairs in his beard. And I looked to see how long he'd been in the league and it was 13 years. And I was like, holy cow, I have just missed. I don't know, it was a weird thing. And I decided to dedicate myself to myself. And I decided to make sure I had hobbies just to help me slow down and enjoy life. So the first hobby is video games, which I'm not going to talk too much about. But every now and then I need to just kind of unplug, check out, and play video games. That's just an important component to life, is being able to just say, look, I'm just going to unplug a bit and play video games. It's important to me because it's what I did when I was 12. It's what I did when I was a youngster. It's what me and my best friend did. We played video games for hours upon hours upon hours. But here, I want to tell you a different story to talk about appreciating the little things. This past weekend, I went to go do an archery tournament in Sturbridge, Massachusetts. I went with my cousin Haston, who's one of my favorite people on the planet. I actually got him hooked on archery, and he and I go to archery tournaments once to 3 times a year, something like that. And this was in Sturbridge, Massachusetts. We were walking, and the way this tournament worked is there's 100 targets that you shoot throughout the weekend, 50 on Saturday and 50 on Sunday. And we flew to Sturbridge, we're carrying our bow and arrows through airports, in cases, but And we get to the tournament, and we walk up to the second target. And it's literally one of the most beautiful, scenic things I've ever seen. If you guys want to see it, go look at my Facebook. I posted a picture of me taking aim at that target. The target was a foam cutout of Bigfoot 40 yards away on an island. And we're surrounded by water. It's early in the morning. It almost took my breath away. And before we decided to shoot at the target, we both just kind of paused for a minute to just celebrate how amazing this experience is. That we are here together in this life, being able to shoot at targets like this, in beautiful places like this. It was just a remarkable experience. And we knew to take a moment and just pause and enjoy it. And I think that's kind of a metaphor for life. If you engage in life, you'll have these moments where you can just take a pause and look around and just be in that space, in that moment. You got to engage in hobbies to create them. You got to go for that walk. You got to do that thing. But just take a pause every now and then and recognize life is beautiful if we take the chance, if we take the opportunity to just look around and acknowledge it. It's those little things that I'm going to remember. I'm not going to remember how much it cost for the flight. I'm not going to remember my sore shoulder carrying the bow in my suitcase. But I'm never going to forget taking aim at that Bigfoot on that island on the second target. That's what life is all about. So I want you to watch for the little things in your life that you can appreciate and how it made a difference for you. So thank you for listening. Thank you so much for paying attention. Please help me spread the word of this podcast by sharing it on your social media platform or with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And also don't forget you can become a subscriber just by going to Apple, Spotify, Simplecast, wherever it is you enjoy listening to your podcast. I'd love for you to subscribe. You can also become a Patreon member, and my Patreon members get bonus episodes and transcriptions of each and every episode. I love you guys, man. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Today I'm going to let you in on a secret. There is something about happy people that I've noticed that I want to share with you because I think it's kind of a secret. It's something that most people don't know. And it actually does fall in line with appreciating little things. And I'm going to share with you this one secret. And it's going to make a huge difference in your life. So welcome back to the Aha Moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie. And here's the thing I want to share with you. I've never known someone who has high levels of appreciation that wasn't tremendously happy. Now, I've known people that have tons of money and low appreciation. I've known people that have not a lot of money and high, but there's something about appreciating the little things that makes all of the difference in the world. And all the people that I've ever known that appreciate the little things are tremendously, wildly happy. Like there's a correlation between your ability to appreciate and your ability to experience happiness. You know, the other day I was watching a baseball game, and this guy, he had been in the minor leagues. I was watching a professional baseball game. The Los Angeles Dodgers, actually, I think was the team. Maybe it's Kansas City Royals, I can't remember, but some blue team. And he had been in the minor leagues for lots of years. And he was about to start his very first major league game. He played catcher, and he runs out onto the field for the beginning of this game. Before he puts his helmet on, you know, catchers wear a mask. And before he puts his mask on, you see him look around. He literally turned a full circle. And when the camera panned in on him, he was crying. And after the game, they asked him what was that moment about. He said, I just wanted to take in this moment that I had made it into the major leagues. And I watched that and I thought, man, that's a guy who gets it. That's a guy who gets it. Life is not about the big moments. Life is about those little things that you will never forget. Life is about those tiny moments that take your breath away. Life is about those little tiny moments that happen that impact us forever. That's what life is about. And the happiest, most successful people I have ever known are the people that seem to know that. And that's why I really think it's like a little hidden gem. I think it's this little secret that if you want to be happy, it's not about how much money you have. It's not about how much traveling you do. It's not about how many degrees you have or how much professional accomplishments you've achieved. It's about how good you are at noticing the little things in your life and having those moments that touch you and having those moments that really, really impact you. It's important for your mental health to nurture these moments. It's important for your mental health to cultivate these moments. And I don't want to sit here and have anybody think that I'm better than thou. One of the ways that I know this is because I was just as guilty as everyone else. Like, in my teens, I wasn't thinking about creating moments. In my 20s, I wasn't thinking about creating moments. I was thinking about acquiring stuff. But one of the ways that I knew that this was something that was being sorted in my life was through COVID. Because when COVID shut down the world and I couldn't travel the way I was traveling before COVID, I was traveling about 500,000 miles a year, giving lectures and workshops about solution-focused brief therapy all over the world. And then COVID happened and all of that shut down. And it wasn't like standing up in front of the crowd that I missed, though I did love it. And it wasn't, going out and hanging out in these cool places that I missed, though I did love it. What I missed was hugging my friends that I had met along the journey. Like, that's what I missed. What I missed was enjoying food in random restaurants. That's what I missed. What I missed was living life in a way, like taking a walk in a place. That's what I missed. And it made me realize, like, you're doing it. Like, that's what it's about. It's about those walks. It's about that restaurant. It's about that hug. Like, that's what life is about. And that's what I want people to understand. I want you to learn that lesson sooner in your life than I learned it in mine, because that's what unlocks our true happiness. So I want you to take a minute and reflect on your day and of your life and what you're doing, and just appreciate the things around you. That wonderful cup of coffee you had this morning. That cool text message you got from somebody. It takes work. For me, it was a journey. I've never known anyone to go on this journey that didn't end up super happy. So, love y'all, man. Hope this makes a difference for you. Please help me spread the word of this podcast by sharing it on your social media platforms or with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to subscribe. You can become a subscriber at Apple, Spotify, Simplecast, wherever it is you enjoy listening to your podcast. And become one of my Patreon members. You'll get bonus episodes, including transcriptions of each and every episode as well. I love you guys. Go have a great day. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. If you want to know the importance of or even how to appreciate the little things, spend time around a child. Children have this incredibly special gift of knowing how to appreciate the little things and enjoying the little things and conveying that joy in a way that is just touching. And today I'm going to talk about how we can learn from that and then replicate it in our adult lives. So welcome back to the Aha Moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie, and today we're going to talk about kiddos and the joy they have in life just from appreciating the little things. One of the kids in my life, I'm lucky enough that I'm blessed to have lots of children in my life, usually through the people close to me, like my best friend that I grew up with, Kyle, his 3 children, Grayson, Raina, and Peyton, are amazing. I love them, and they're just really important to me. And then Adam Frower, one of my best friends, his 3 kids, Rachel, Juju, name is Julia, but we call her Juju, and Toby. Now, Toby and I have a special relationship. Toby is one of the most incredible kids I've ever known, and he has this ability to just find joy and happiness in life, just period. Like one time I was in LA, and it was a really long night for me. I was at a LA party, and I turn around, and there's Awkwafina. Those of you who don't know, Awkwafina is an actress, comedian. She's been in Marvel movies. She's been in lots of projects. And there's Awkwafina. And I take a picture with Awkwafina, and I text it to Adam, and he shows it to Toby. Toby didn't care about anything. He didn't care about how long my night was. He didn't care about how tired I was. Toby was just blown away that I was taking a picture with Awkwafina. Like that, because that's just how Toby is. I was talking to Toby on the phone earlier today, and Toby, he really wants to visit Los Angeles. He's never been there before, and he really wants to visit LA. And me and his dad told him, if you get straight, and Toby's brilliant, but he's not like the most focused, hardest working student you ever saw in your life. And we told him, if you get straight A's, we'll plan a trip for you to come to Los Angeles in December. This kid is grinding, man. This kid is working his butt off to get straight A's so he can come to this LA trip. Now, I was talking to Toby on the phone today, and I told him, in December, Black Panther 2 will have already been out for a month. And when we're in LA, we can go to the Chinese theater. And Toby, being Toby, while we're on the phone, he looks up the Chinese theater and he's like, oh my God, the Hollywood stars are right in front of the Chinese theater. This place looks so cool. And you just remember how amazing it is when you're a kid. Like, do you remember when you're a kid and you go to an amusement park and all you care about is the rides and the fun and the joy and the amusement park food? But now when I go to an amusement park, all I think about is the walking and the cost and the weather. But when you're a kid, you don't think about any of that stuff. When I was a kid, we used to go to a place called Rocky Point. It was in Rhode Island. I can't even tell you how much Rocky Point cost. But every now and then, my mom and or father would get up enough money and take me and my brothers to Rocky Point. And I remember going on all these rides and just all the joy and fun. I couldn't tell you one bit how much Rocky Point cost. But as adults, we learn to focus on those things. And the greatest gift that people like Toby give to me is I get to look at the world through their joyous eyes. I get to look at the world and see what they see. I get to look at the world and see how remarkable it still is to see joy and fun and excitement everywhere. And that's an amazing thing. And the way to do that is just by paying attention to the little small things. When I was talking to Toby about the Chinese theater, I'd forgotten that the Hollywood stars go in front of the theater because I'm walking around as an adult. And Toby, he just looked at the world in such an amazing way of seeing the little things and finding joy and happiness and laughter in them. I'm so appreciative that Toby gives me that lesson, that it's still okay to find joy and happiness and laughter in this world. In fact, it's not just okay, it's necessary. So I want to challenge all of you to find little things to smile and laugh about. Find little things to give you joy and give you happiness. Learn the lesson from Toby. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. I love you guys so much for spending time with me. Please share this podcast on your social media platforms and share it with at least one person in your life that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to subscribe. You can do that at Apple. You can do that at Spotify, Simplecast, wherever it is you enjoy listening to podcasts. And you can also become a Patreon subscriber where you get bonus episodes and transcriptions from each and every episode. Thank you so much. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. One of the things that stands out to me as really, really important is being able to enjoy the little things. And I think too many of us overlook them. I can't even tell you how many times I've noticed people, like, you get later in life and realize all the little things that I missed were actually the big things. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So welcome back to the aha moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. You know, life is really a bunch of little moments and little things collected to make this journey of life. And too many of us, we're paying such attention to big things that we don't even notice the little things. Now, let me give you an example. I really like documentaries, and I was watching a documentary about people who have spent a lot of time in prison and then getting out. And there was this one guy, and he gets out of prison. He had done like 30 years in prison. And he gets out, and they ask him what was he most looking forward to. And I was really interested in this answer. I was like, I wonder what he's going to say. I thought he would say something like women, or, you know, something that was like a big grand thing that he's missed over the course of time. And he said, the number one thing that I look forward to is walking on a carpet barefoot. He said, I haven't felt my toes on something soft in 30 years. Then they asked him, what's the first thing you're going to do? And I'm like, man, this guy's going to go to, you know, a restaurant and get like this big old meal, or he's going to do whatever, some sort of grand gesture to celebrate that he's now out of prison. And he said, the very first thing I'm going to do is take a bath. He said, in 30 years, I haven't felt my body submerged in water. And I hadn't even thought about that. When you're in prison, you don't get access to a pool or bathtubs. Like, it's literally nothing but showers. And it didn't even dawn on me. But that's what I mean. Like, life is really small moments collected to make the entire journey. And too often, we're so paying attention to trying to accomplish the big things, we don't even notice the small things. And I'm guilty of it too. You know, for so many years, I worked super hard to try to build my therapy practice to the point where it was successful. And by successful, I don't mean like living in a Beverly Hills mansion or anything. I just mean successful to the point where I could make a living. And I worked a lot, man. I saw tons and tons of clients every single week in and week out. And I remember one day I was watching something on ESPN, it's a sports network, and they were interviewing LeBron James. And I looked at him, and he looked old to me. He had this beard with little speckles of gray hair in it. And I was like, how old is he? And in my head, I was like, LeBron James has been playing professional basketball for 5 years, maybe 6 years, 7 years. And they were like, LeBron James going into his 15th season. And I was like, what? And I realized, like, I wasn't living life. I was waking up every day, going and doing 10 hours of therapy, and then coming home. That was my life, 6 days a week. That was literally what I did 6 days a week, every week in and week out. And one day I look up and LeBron James was 10 years older than I expected him to be. I made the decision that day, I'm going to live life differently. And I'm going to cherish the moments. I'm going to enjoy the ride. I remember shortly after that, I got an invitation, who's now a really good friend of mine, a woman named Jackie, who invited me to South Africa to give a lecture. And because I worked the way that I did, every time I would go somewhere to give a lecture, I would usually fly home the very next day. And Jackie invites me to South Africa, and then she says, do you want to go on a safari? And I thought, it goes against everything I normally do. But yes. And it was the most brilliant decision I've ever been on. It slowed me down and made me pay attention to the small things. It made me catch everything in life. And now that lesson sticks with me. and I want to catch everything in life. I want to catch the small moments. I want to enjoy the journey. I want to enjoy the tastes and the smells and the experiences. I don't ever want to put my head down for so long that I don't even notice the good things. I've been guilty of that, and in case anybody out there is guilty of it too, I wanted to share this lesson with you. So thank you for being here so much. It's such an important thing, so please practice the skill of paying attention to really small things that you maybe haven't thought of before. Thank you. I love you for being here. Please share this podcast on your social media platforms and help me reach more people, or share it with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to subscribe. You can do that wherever you enjoy listening to your podcast, Apple, Simplecast, Spotify, wherever that is. And you can become a Patreon subscriber and get bonus episodes each and every week, and also transcriptions of each and every episode. Love you so much. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. This week, as we talk about paying attention to the little things and how important it is, I'm going to throw myself under the bus and tell you that I was once guilty of not paying attention to the little things. Now, I dropped a little bit of a seed, a little bit of a nugget yesterday, and today we're going to go deeper into that seed. We're going to go deeper into that nugget. I want to share with you how I realized what I was doing was wrong and how I changed my pattern, and really has led to me having a very different experience in life, and a much more positive one. So welcome back to the Aha Moments, where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work as a psychotherapist and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. Of course, I'm your host, Elliott Connie. So look, I'm going to tell you, I am just as guilty of overlooking little things, paying attention to the big picture, and missing the entire point of life. For so many years, I focused on my career and building my therapy practice and building my speaking career and writing books and those sorts of things. And I remember going to Scotland. I went to teach at a university, at a conference that was being hosted in a university in Edinburgh, Scotland. And I had a book due at the time, and I booked myself to stay one extra day at this place in Edinburgh, Scotland. The way they pronounce it is Edinburgh. So Edinburgh, Scotland. So I went and I spoke at the conference, and each night, everybody at the conference was like, hey, we're going into downtown Edinburgh. Do you want to come with us? And I'd say, no, I got to write this book. So I go to my hotel room and work on this book. And I stayed one extra day. I remember the conference is over and everybody's gone. I went down to the cafeteria, I had breakfast, and I sat in the cafeteria, had a movie going on my iPad, and I was writing on my laptop. That's all I did that whole day. The next day, morning, I wake up, and I had arranged for a car to take me to the airport, and I flew home. I really didn't even see Edinburgh, Scotland. I didn't partake at all. I just went there, taught at the conference, and worked, and wrote my book. So next day, I'm back at home, and I'm at my office teaching. One of my clients who knew I was out of town asked me, so where'd you go? And I said, I went to Edinburgh. And he said, what'd you think of Edinburgh? Did you like the castle of such and such? And what'd you think of the cafe where the woman wrote Harry Potter and all these things? And I embarrassing was I didn't see any of that. He said, what did you do when you were in Scotland? And I said, I worked. And this man said, I think you're missing the point of life. And I thought about that for a while. And after that, I made a decision to live life differently. And I talked yesterday in my podcast about going to Africa. And I now, when I go to a place, I plan an extra day, at least an extra day, to do something in that city so that I can enjoy the city. I can enjoy the town or the country or whatever the case may be. You know, one of the greatest experiences of my life is I've now been on, I believe the count now is 6 safaris. And the point that I want to make is how important it is to slow down and enjoy life. I don't remember how much those safaris cost. I don't remember, what day of the week it was when I was on those safaris, but I will never forget seeing a pride of lions feeding on a wildebeest. I'll never forget that one time I watched a cheetah take down a water buck. I'll never forget the experience of watching hippos poke their eyes out of the water and stare at the vehicle that I was in with other tourists. I'll never forget the smell of the African safari at 6:30 in the morning. Those things stick with me. Those things are a part of me. Those things are with me. And I'm almost embarrassed. For a decade, all I did was work. I didn't enjoy any of the places I went and countries I was at and cities I was at. But I'm very proud of the time since. Ever since that guy asked me or told me, he said, man, I think you're missing the point of life. I now make sure that I take in some of every place I go. I don't drink alcohol. And I remember going to Moscow. I've been to Russia twice. And I went to Moscow and I was out for dinner. And this person said, would you like some vodka? And I thought, well, I don't drink. But vodka is like a very Russian drink. It's like in the fabric, in the culture of Russia. And I thought to myself, when am I going to have another opportunity to have a shot of vodka in Moscow with Russians? So sure, give me a shot of vodka. It's gross, I hate alcohol. But I did it because I want to be able to enjoy the little things. I'm telling you, life is about the little things. So find opportunities and ways to do things you wouldn't normally do and appreciate things you wouldn't normally appreciate. Live life. It's adventurous. It's wonderful. It's here for us. It's here for the taking. But we have to be bold enough to step forward and do it. We have to be bold enough to step into our truth. We have to be bold enough to do unusual things. And that's really the key to enjoying life. That's really the key that makes all of this special. Life is special if you're willing to do unusual things. Life is special if you're willing to take chances. Life is special if you're willing to try new things. And that's my suggestion for you all today. Try something new. Try something different. Try something you wouldn't normally try. Slow down and appreciate life. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys, man. Please share this podcast on your social media platforms or with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to subscribe. You can do that on Apple. You can do that on Simplecast, Spotify, wherever it is you enjoy listening to your podcast. And don't forget to become a Patreon subscriber where you get bonus content and you get transcriptions of each and every episode, extra episodes. It's really amazing over there, so become a Patreon subscriber. And I look forward to seeing you guys on Monday when I release the next episode. Love y'all.